I tell you, and we are live. Good morning, South Florida, and hello, world. I am Robert Henderson Jr., President, Founder, CEO of the Henderson Financial Group, located here in Miami Lakes, Florida. We're a full service financial planning firm, and we serve clients all over the world, not just in the United States, not just in Florida, but we got clients, referrals all over the world. We love what we do. We help you chart, we help you design, create a great financial plan for yourself, whether it's retirement, whether it's Social Security, whether it's long-term care, whether it's life insurance, whether it's investment planning, stocks and bonds, whether it's wills and trusts. Man, we are on it, and we love what we do. And joining me here with my co-host, my partner, who I've been knowing over 30 years, one and only legendary James Thomas. How you doing, James T?
Rob, it is a pleasure to get a break. I was just sharing before we went on how, oh man, this has been, I told my family, it's been like my going to the service. I served in the armed forces back in the day. And most people, when you're young, you never think of leaving home and going and saying, I won't be back for over a year. Rob, think about that, Rob.
Yeah.
And possibly, and many did not return at all. Many did not return at all.
They sure didn't. They sure didn't.
I've had the pleasure of speaking with a lot of people in our travels over the last year, and to see, younger men, older men, and women, for that matter. Please, I will not leave out the ladies, because many women serve our country. And one of the things that is happening now is, as much as we think things are, quote unquote, not as well as we would love for them to be, things have been worse, but we came through it, Rob, and we became better. And when we go through this, we will become better. So with that in mind, Rob, and that's how we live, and that's how we work. We don't work to deal with the right now, because as soon as you say the words right now, that became our past.
That's right, because time flies.
Right? When the right now I said moments ago,
that's in the future. Behind us. That's in the past. As soon as you say it's in the past.
And if we get stuck on that, or stuck in that place of thinking about that right now, we're missing out on all of the right nows that are to come, that God has created us for, that will make life better for us all. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it, as Les Brown would say.
And I'm tell you something. Wisdom comes in when you understand the concept of doing what's hard now. You gotta, if you want to be successful, you gotta find something that's difficult, that's hard. You gotta endeavor towards something that everybody else said, I wouldn't do that. If you really, really, really want to get to the promised land, you have to go through the river to get through the woods. You have to. If you try to do something and become successful and it's just easy peasy, you ain't doing nothing. I'm telling you ain't doing nothing. But if you want to be in your uniqueness, if you want to be all that you could be, you have to have a challenge. You have to go through something that seems so difficult that most people say, I wouldn't do it. I mean, I'm gonna tell you something. First of all, you can look at Jesus. You can look at Moses. You can look at everybody who was sent to do something to change the world. They all had to do something that was difficult, that was hard. If you look at any Olympic gold medalists, they did something that you wouldn't do. It was hard. Any NBA player running up and down, whatever, whoever it is, I don't care, whoever it is. If you want to be James T. or Robert Henderson, you got to do something that's hard. And most people say, I would not do. That's the only way you get to the other side. It is the absolute only way. There is no way around it. I'm telling you, anytime they're selling you on a dream that easy, just all you got to do. No. You got to call on Jesus. We having church up in here, right? We having church.
Hey, Rob, turn the lights off and just fall down, lay down.
Oh man, you got to say, I'm tired. I can't go no more. Boy, that's when you say, no, I'm here with you. A voice. But I'm telling you, it's no way you can get to the other side of where you want to go, where you ought to be, without paying that price. I'm telling you, you're gonna be okay now. It's a lonely track. It's a lonely track. It feel like I'm only doing it by myself. But I'm telling you, you're on the right track when you do it like that. You know, you're on the right track. I'm telling you. And listen, that's across the board. I don't care what industry you're in. If you're trying to become this, if you're trying to become more, if you're trying to become better, that is a prerequisite. You have to get to that point where you feel like, oh my God, that's when you start to see the magic. And then after you get all the accolades and everybody want to pat you on the back, everybody saying, oh, you this and you that, but they don't want to go through what you went through, but they want to have and be where you are.
And they have no idea, Rob. They have no idea the cost. And see, most people, and please don't take that to mean that when you leave this earth, because heaven is right here. You just have not accepted it. But if you heard what Robert said, it's going to be a challenge.
Got to be.
But that's the process.
That's the process.
That's the process. Yeah.
That's the process.
Rob, in my 5.5-hour drive yesterday, a young lady had called me, and I want to say to our listeners and anybody who hears this, and share this with family, there are all kinds of scams and schemes out there. And this young lady called me and she said, JC, I just want to talk to you. She said, I'm in a project where I could get X number of dollars and also get a chance to promote my business. But the process means that I have to get more people to vote for me. And I said, hold it, sister. Hold it. I said, first of all, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. What does it cost you to be in that? And what does it cost those who vote for you to vote for you? Rob, because we know, hey, our spirit tells us right off the bat, hold on, wait a minute, because you're about to step in it. And so she told me, she said, oh, no, it doesn't cost me anything. I said, oh, well, but you are encouraging others to vote for you, right? Yeah. And well, does it cost them anything to vote for you? And she said, well, not the first time. I said, but okay, what about the second? What about more vote? Well, yeah, I said, hold on, please. And so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all those, don't follow, as Robert said, don't follow these schemes, because in the end, somebody is ripping somebody off. And hey, if I loved Robert and I wanted to vote for Robert so that Robert could expand his business, and they said, well, hey, you can vote 100 times if you'll send us $25. You can give Robert 100 votes if you send $25, and you can do more. Those are scams. Well, they probably fall short of scams, but they're schemes. And the scheme is to get you or someone that you love or someone that loves you. So and when Robert tells you about the different programs and the different ways and the different thoughts, and then he invites you to check out the Henderson Financial Group so that we can aid you in first growing in knowledge and then, building wealth and legacy, please give a call.
That's right. You got to do it. You got to make yourself do the things that you ought to be doing when you know you don't feel like doing it. See, mastering yourself is being able to get up, move your bed. You have to be able to make yourself do all the things that you know that you ought to be doing when you don't feel like doing it. That's becoming master of yourself, master of yourself. See, James C and I, we practice that. We know the pathway to anything better. you have to take some sort of resistance, some sacrifice. If we say we want to lose some pounds, we could not eat 3 days. I mean, we can do that. Why? Because we control our mouth. 95% of people cannot go without food for 24 hours. They just say they can't do it, even though they are the master of themselves and they can make themselves and they control their mouth. They say I can't do it. That right there is a sign of weakness. You've got to strengthen yourself. You have got to you have to, man. You have to. If you love to drink, just say, hey, you don't got to go to no program. You ain't got to pay no money. You can say, okay, for the first week, I ain't going to drink nothing. And you start like that. You start mastering yourself because you are the king and you are the queen. And somebody need to tell you that since you don't know it. Because if you don't master yourself, I'll tell you something, somebody will master you.
They got a plan. They got a plan.
Whether it's radio, TV, or advertiser, or something, marketers telling you they're going to master you. And you have got to take control. Now, today I want to talk about 3 topics. One, I want to talk about final expense. And I want to talk about the second one. I want to talk about debt. A lot of people in debt. And then the third one, I want to talk about estate planning, live in trust. I want to talk about that because we need to know about that. We need to understand that there's better ways. I just started really zeroing in on this market called final expense. There's a lot of people, you could be up to 80, 85 years old. So I want y'all to think about yourself and think about your grandma, your cousins, your friends, your neighbors. If you know someone who's at least 85 years old, they can be 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old, 75 years old, 80 years old, 85 years old, not working, but the day is coming. None of us going to live forever in this body. Our spirits will, but as we see each other, know each other in the physical sense, now our body's not meant to last forever, not our bodies. I ain't saying about our souls or our spirits, but our bodies are not. So we're going to disappear. We're going to leave here, whether you're going to be cremated or buried, but you're going somewhere. Now, there's a final cost for that. Can you believe that there is actually a final cost for that? You can ignore it if you want to, but somebody going to pay that. It's somebody, whether the government going to pay it or they're going to cremate you or your loved ones, I don't know, but somebody going to pay that. You don't have to spend a lot of money if you plan for it. If you plan knowing that final expenses are going to have to be taken care of. So we got a financial expense plan right now. You could be up to 85 years old. So, and it doesn't cost a whole lot of money. Minimum, it'll give you at least $25,000 in final expense. Final expense mean that death. Because I tell you now, man, these funerals, ooh, Lord, they cost $25,000 nowadays. And you're talking about inflation, just look at the cost of a funeral. It ain't like it used to be 10, 20, 15, 30 years ago. Oh, man, a simple funeral now, man, they talking about $20,000. And grandma ain't have $20,000. And now y'all got to put up a GoFundMe or get money out of your savings and investments so you can do a burial. And sometimes some people say, no, I don't want to do a cremation. Cremation really is on the rise because the cost, and it's cheap. But a lot of people feel like they don't want to be burnt up because they get to the next promised land. They ain't going to have no body.
They're not going to have anybody anyway.
Well, I don't know. It's their belief. They don't want to. Absolutely not. Don't burn me. You know what I mean? So that's their own thinking. But I want you to call the Henderson Financial Group so we can go over this final expense guarantee. Matter of fact, you don't have to be in no good health shape. Matter of fact, they're not going to take blood, no medical exam. Can you believe that? No medical exam to get a final health. So you got a grandmama, mama, or whatever, call me and I'll give you a quote. You tell me how old she is. We're going to ask a few questions. Now, if she got one more day to live, then, they're not going to take that because that's just absolutely money. That minimum $25,000 in insurance company's got to pay. But if grandma look like she's going to be here for a while, you need to get a final expense. But she can't be 90. She got to be no more than 85 years old. Okay? If they're 75 years old, just get something. It don't cost a whole lot of money. And like I say, they don't have to take no medical exam. You got to ask some questions because nobody wants you to flim-flam them. And the reason why, because if you says no questions and everybody be right there at the hospitals, everybody about to die, and they'll be signing them up for insurance. And insurance companies, because y'all ripping us off, and it costs insurance companies too much. But if they got a chance to live, if they got 5 more years, 3 more years, I don't know. We don't really know. None of us know, how long we're going to live. But if you don't have some disease that says that you're going to be out of here in the next 6 months, then you can qualify. And like I said, it's no medical exam. But if you got to know somebody, and as a matter of fact, they don't have to be 85 years old. There's a lot of people that's 60 years old that have absolutely no coverage. There's a lot of people that's 50 years old have absolutely no coverage. And when you don't have no coverage, man, that says, you really don't care. And a don't care person things don't go too well. But you have to care, at least care about your loved ones, and care about someone having to take care of you and be responsible for your burial, whether you want to be cremated or whether you want to have a nice little sent home funeral.
And one of the things, Rob, we all know that when a loved one passes, whether it's a cousin, doesn't have to be a mother, or father, brother, or sister, even if it's a cousin or whomever, and nobody, quote unquote, has a policy or has any insurance, all of a sudden now the whole family is saying, well, who's going to take care of that? Or who's going to take care of this? And I have seen and heard of people, families really being torn apart,
Yeah.
because there's an expense that has to be taken care of that some are refusing to participate in. And like you said, then all of a sudden you put it on social platforms and it's a GoFundMe, help us, well, here's an opportunity for you to help yourself and to help family members and friends. Call the Henderson Financial Group.
Yes. Call 305-825-1444. 305-825-1444, and ask us about this final expense. Whoever answers the phone, say, I want to talk to Robert so he can get some information on this final expense where you don't have to take blood and urine, no medical exam, none of that. They're going to ask you a few questions to make sure that you still, you're not trying to commit suicide, didn't get an insurance policy. They're going to ask you some questions, and then some brief questions. If you give them the answer and say, hey, you're not trying to kill yourself, you're not going to get this insurance and then kill yourself, just say, hey, you need to get coverage because you want to be able to take care of any final expenses that may happen that you may have coming to you. Now, you could inquire for your cousin, your brother, your sister, your friend, your drunk uncle, because they're not going to take his blood or his urine. They're not going to test them for medical, right? And then you can, as long as you have an insurable interest, then they'll give it to them. But it's very inexpensive. That's why I'm talking about it. Y'all know I'm a financial planner, but I'm cost effective. In other words, I don't buy a lot of stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, so give me a call and I'll tell you about that one. So that's the first part that I want to talk to you about. The second part is debt. D-E-B-T, debt. Boy, America, James, is in a lot of debt. There's a lot of people owe, from student loans to car loans to credit card. You're talking about in the trillions. There's a lot of debt. People have lost their mind in debt. Right now, most people right now who have a savings, a CD or whatever, most people are saying, what's the highest rate that I can get? That's most law-abiding citizens. Most people want to say, what's the most interest that I can earn? And they're saying it's 3% or it's 4% or it's 5%. That's about the range. And most people are trying to get a higher yield. They want to get more interest, more bang for their buck. But you know who getting the most?
Without question.
Credit cards.
But Rob, I really don't think people stop for a moment to think. And if I loaned you $100 and told you that, hey, by the end of the week or by the end of the month, hey, I want $128, $130 back. You look, JC, are you crazy? But you do it every day. We do it every day. So, but Rob, where do we go? Where do we start? In trying to determine how do we handle first the debt that we have, and how do we curb from going into deeper debt?
First you got to get a plan, James. You got to get a plan. You just can't be wild, buckeye, just wild. You got to have a plan, man. Just like when you get in the car, you get in the car, you got to first open the door, right? Get in the car. That's the plan. You can't say, hey, I'm getting ready to go somewhere, and you never open the door to get in the car. That's a plan. See, but we do this subconsciously. We know we got, in order to get in the car and go somewhere, you got to open the door. That's a plan. And you got to sit down in the car. That's a plan. And then you got to either take your keys or hit a button to start the car. That is plan, and that is procedure in order for you to go from one place to the other place if you are driving a car. And we take that for granted. We really do. Now, if we couldn't walk, then we would be saying, oh, Lord, drive a car. I so wish I could walk and open that door. then we would be like wishing for that. But since so many of us that are blessed to be able to do that, we know we go in there, open the car door, we sit down, you use the keys or push a button, you put it in reverse, okay? Then you put it in and drive, and you mash the gas. Those are procedures first. In order to drive a car, you have to understand. Well, I forgot. You got to put your seatbelt on. Okay. See, those are procedures. Now, to help this whole debt plan, this strategy, it really is a strategy. They got two of them. One of them they call the 70-20-10 plan, and one of them they call, which I like, is the 50-30-20 plan. Now, what it suggests is, you direct, let's say the 50-30-20 plan, 50% of your after-tax income go toward all your needs. Okay, so let's say if you get paid $5,000 a month after taxes, you get direct deposit, let's just say $5,000 a month. 50% of that will go toward your needs. 30% will go toward your wants. And the other 20% should go toward savings and debt. Let's break that down. So let's just say you take home $5,000 a month. So 50% will go towards your needs. So just take $2,500. That's all your needs. You just took care of your needs. That means $2,500 got to take care of your overhead expenses. Okay. Now you got another 30% to take care of your wants. Y'all want to do this. Y'all want to go shopping. You want to do all that. Okay, but you can only spend 30%. 30% of that $5,000 is only $1,500. Okay, and then you take the 20%, which is $1,000. You got to put towards savings and paying off them debts. When you have a formula like that, you know what you have to do. The procedures. You don't cross the line. It's like knowing that if you want to drive your car, you got to open the car door. You got to sit down in the car. You can't stand up. You got to sit down in the car. You got to start the car with the keys or a button. Okay, then you got to put it in reverse or drive. And then you got to mash the gas. And then you got to have your GPS on, or if you know where you're going, at least navigate and make the right turns in order to get to your destination. Those are procedures. The problem is when it comes to spending, people just get money and just spend. That's why all businesses have to have a budget, a plan. You have to know what's coming in and what's going out. You have to have resources to take care, to have the money to pay for things that you need first, the needs. Then you go to the wants. Then you go to the savings and investments, and you got to take care of that debt. That's a plan. And most people have never been schooled or educated toward that. We're like just wild cutting it, man. From the first grade to the 12th grade, they never really teach you how to budget and how to manage money. And I'm going to tell you something. 99% of financial advisors don't even talk to you about debt. They don't care. They just want to know how much money you got so they can get a fee or a commission or whatever. Most financial planners ain't even talking to you about your bills, your debt, and your credit cards. They don't care. And that is a tragedy when they call themselves financial planners. How you going to be a financial planner or advisor and never address debt to the client? All you think about, just tell me how much money you got. If you're dealing with somebody, they don't want to talk about debt, you need to get rid of them. Because everybody, whether there's student loans, whether there's mortgage, whether there's credit cards, have some form of debt and it needs to be managed. It needs to be a plan for that. Because let me tell you something. While most people are trying to get the highest interest rate on their savings and investments, the highest yield, who is automatically getting it is those credit card companies that's charging you 29%, 18%, 19%, 21%. You just look at y'all bills. That's what they're paying, 29%. And y'all not screaming about it. And nobody in Congress is screaming about it because all those credit card companies give millions of dollars to Congress not to bother them about y'all debt. Isn't that something? This is a business.
Rob, and I don't think people stop to think that, and that percentage is on unpaid balance.
Yes.
Every month. Yeah. And boom, as that 29% from last, so you're only doing the bare minimum because you're saying, well, this came up or we had a plumbing problem. Hey, it continues even of the interest that's being charged. So all of a sudden, you're not just paying for what you purchased.
Yes.
No, you're paying for what you purchased and that add-on percentage every month.
Oh man, they're killing it.
It's unreal.
That's why. Listen, see, the stock market keep going up because they're having record profits. The people who don't know, they're being gotten. So the stock market, all the industries are having record profits. They're raising prices, people paying them, and they're making more money from the gas companies to the electric companies to the food companies to the apparel companies to the restaurants. I mean, they it's the haves and the have-nots. The people who own businesses, the people who are selling you stuff, they're making a big profit. And here you are buying a whole lot of stuff that you don't need, and you wondering why you can't get further. But I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not just talking about debt just to say, hey, you guys got to fix debt. That's easy to say it's been done. But at the Henderson Financial Group, we have a debt program that you can actually, the more you save, the savings can be used twice to pay off your debt. In other words, if you got $1, see, Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman tell you the first guy to debt first. But if you take all your money and got a debt first, you're going to wind up with zero. But is there a way to do it simultaneously? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Especially with this AI strategy that they got right now. You can actually, for every dollar you save, that dollar can be leveraged to pay off your debt. So you saving money and you also using that same money like a bank and you leveraging and you paying off that credit card. So you're doing it simultaneously. So by the time the credit card is paid off, you still have a bucket of money that you save and it's tax-free. I want to say it again. You take the debt and turn the debt into capital. It's a program that I need to tell you, I need to show y'all. It is a program that helps you get out of debt, pay off your mortgage, pay off those credit cards, pay off those student loans. But you got to have something. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You can't spend all your money. You got to have something to fight with. You got to have something. You got to be able to save something, and that savings will double as a savings and a debt elimination at the same time. I got to show it to you. You got to call 305-825-1444. I promise I'm going to show you something you ain't never even thought that was on the planet. You're going to say, wow, they doing something out there that you don't know about. There's a lot of things that they're doing out there that you don't know about. How could you? You do the same old thing every day. This is what I do. I'm a hunter. I'm always hunting and find out. That's why I always go to those conferences. And I'm telling you something. Every time I go to a conference, I tell you, they're doing something. I'm like, whoa, I didn't know this is on the planet. This how they, wow. Let me try to go back. I'm going to use this in my practice. And the only reason why I find out because I get up and I go to those conferences where they have financial planning advisors. And if you don't have a financial planner like Henderson Financial Group, how you gonna know? You can't get it from Susie, Tom, Dick, and Harry because they don't know. They broke too. So you got to distinguish yourself and you got to break off and love yourself and call 305-825-1444. This is what we do. I feel so bad for so many people. Every time I see golden nuggets that people can use, but so many people don't know about it. And they're not broadcasting, so you can know about it. James, everywhere you go, all the good stuff is behind the counter, down in the dungeon, locked up. You know what I mean? But all the shabby stuff is just right there. Everybody can go and buy. You know, even a drug, you got to go behind. You can't get it off the counter. You got to go and have a prescription for it. You follow me? All the good stuff. You know, all the good stuff, man. You gotta take some effort. You gotta know somebody. And I'm telling you, the Henderson Financial Group, that's what we do. And we'll give it to you and show it to you. We just want to build a relationship with you and your family and your loved ones and your friends. And then once you start doing better, then you're supposed to share and tell other people. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, man. It's a financial war. It's a spiritual war. It is a spiritual war out here, and it's done. So a financial war out here. Boy, what you don't know will hurt you. Let the church say amen, right, James?
Amen. 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 And sharing the information and encouraging. And Rob, I know we think that, oh, hey, our children are going to be all right. Not necessarily. If we have not done something to plan to leave a legacy or something for our children, how can you ensure them being all right? And if you're not sharing with them, you know, now, and we all know some of the younger people will not listen to the information that we give them because they feel like they're going to be young all their lives. And I've heard even some young people, and I mean real young people, when I would speak to the students, they were not planning to live. When you talk about 30 or 40 years old, Rob, it baffled me when I would go and talk to some of the young men. I'm not going to be 50 years old. Really? You don't think? So you're not planning to live as long as you can, to be as healthy as long as you can, and to have as much as you can, and it's so much that it's all about me, myself, and I, that you don't worry about mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousin, friend. No. So Rob, we really do need to say, oh, wait a minute. What is that I don't know? And what are you talking about, Robert Henderson? And call the number and ask to make an appointment so that it can be shared and it could be also explained according to your lifestyle, not according to what everybody is doing. Because a lot of times, that's what we get. Well, hey, if everybody is doing it, it must be good. No, not necessarily, because you're not like everybody, and everybody is not like you.
That's right. Everybody, all of us are unique. You know, interesting. You should say that. People don't think they're gonna live long, don't want to live long. Man, I have somebody that I'm meeting Monday. She called her office and says that she needs some direction. She tired of these bills, and she need a plan. And she wants to take her money that she do have, and she want to pay off her house. So she told Tavares said, if you take all the money you have and pay off your house, then you ain't gonna have no more money. She told Tavares that's the fact. She don't want to live long because she don't have a lot of money. And she said she don't want to go through being broke. So she want to take all her money that she have and pay off her house. So Tavares set her up for me to talk to her Monday. Because I gotta have a go to Jesus, save your soul, save your soul.
No. Hey, Rob, I see a sign that says, "Help me, please." You need to say, wait a minute, hold on. First of all, God created you for a purpose. There is a purpose. So if you don't think much of yourself, hey, help somebody else. but be wise. Be wise.
Yeah, Jane, there's a lot of people that feel like, the walls are caving in on them. And they just feel like, man. So when you talk to him, he says, well, you only 58 years old. You could live to 85, 90 years old. And they say, I don't want to live that long. And I say, why? And they say, because I'm broke. And how I'm going to make it? And some people rather be dead because I'm telling you, man, things ain't going back. Things are going, the cost of living is continually getting more. The cost it don't never shrink. So you got to have a plan. But you know, we wasn't put here, and you wasn't born to fail. God didn't create you and put you on a planet to fail. See,
when you said you're gonna have to have a come to Jesus moment. Oh, hey, I don't want to go there. Go ahead, Rob. Okay. I mean, but if a person is saying, I mean, do you really live your life just to say, I was here? I was there. I mean,
James,
or is that just for the old folk? Is that just for us?
James,
You
let me
know?
tell you something, man. I just read a report that gambling on these games on your cell phones and computers, the companies are making over 11 with a B billion dollars a year. People are hooked on taking real money and gambling and getting tokens that they can never cash in for real money. And people
Oh
and
man.
people $11 billion industry. People, human beings, grown people and young people are taking real money and playing these casino games and getting tokens, and they never can
To bet
cash the
again.
token in to bet again, and they never can cash the tokens in for real money.
Come
So you want to know the state of mind, the minds of humans, of people right now that are out here. That lady said she didn't want to live a long time because she don't have no money. But then again, you got people who are playing games, gambling, casino games to win not money, but tokens, not prizes, but just tokens. And they went to
and
Congress to say that this is illegal gambling with these companies are bestowing on these people. They can't help themselves. And one man said, I can't help myself. I like to play the game. Okay. That's what he said. This is what I like to do. And they went to Congress and had a meeting saying this is illegal gambling. And the defenders said, no. How is it gambling when we don't give them no money? They putting the real money, but we ain't got to give them no money. We just giving them tokens on, not physical, but saying, hey, you won 500 tokens. You know, you got a whole lot of tokens, and people are hooked on that. And they're
hey
spending
Rob, but when you
billion a
say,
year.
hey, it's ready for I want to cash out. Where do I go to cash out?
There's none. You can't cash out. You just keep cash out. When you lose, James,
So
this is
more money. Then you
you
got
got
to
to put
send
in
more
more
money.
money. You got to pay more money. And James, people are getting divorced over it.
Oh,
They done lost their house. They done got the cars repossessed. Wives are complaining. Husbands are complaining. I mean, this is some mental stuff that's going on with people. That's why you have got to get control of your mind. I told you, you have to be able to master yourself. Because if you don't, industries, the world is trying to take your mind from you and have you thinking all kind of things, man. You are the king, you are the queen. You have got to snap back and snap out of it and say, okay, you're put here for greatness. But I tell you something, there is negative forces out here, invisible forces that's trying to evil forces. There's a spiritual world war going on out here. There's a spiritual war, and there is an even bigger financial spiritual war to keep you in poverty and disgust. I'm telling you. And a lot of people want to feel good by diluting their senses with alcohol or drugs. But you're better than that. Call the Henderson Financial Group at 305-825-1444. Okay? Because I got a plan for you. I don't care. And guess what? In order to get out of the debt, you don't need to have extra money. You don't need to put in and pay extra money. You don't. The money that you have, I'm going to find what you are wasting. I'm going to find that you are unknowingly and unwillingly how you're losing money unnecessarily. And I'm going to take that money and build a financial plan for you. I want to say it again. When you come and say, when you call the office 305-825-1444, I'm not going to ask you, I'm going to ask you your expenses. I'm going to ask you how much money you have coming in. That's all I need to know. How much money you have coming in, and I have to ask you your expenses. That's all I need to know. I'm not going to tell you got to go get another job to pay down the debt, the credit card. I'm not going to tell you that. When you tell me that, I promise you, I'm going to find in your whole financial scheme, what you're doing, I'm going to find money that you are unknowingly and spending unnecessarily the wrong way. You're paying too much for this and that. And I'm going to take that savings that I find, and I'm going to use that money to help you get out of debt and help you build a tax-free retirement plan or a tax-free savings plan. I promise you. Now, that's my word. Now, I just challenge y'all. I told you. I don't care who. I don't care if you got student loan. I don't care if you said, listen, Robert, I'm up to here. All I make is here. And after I finish paying my bills, I don't have nothing. I want you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how I'm going to, how Jesus did, what he did. He fed the fishes with that loaf of bread. He
fed the masses.
Fed the masses.
With such small, well, what everybody else saw as small amount. Strange you would say that, Rob, because that's what it is. It's what we see, but not all there is to be seen. It's just what we see. And we think that that's all that there is.
We think that all we see, that's all it is, but there's a whole lot of stuff that you don't see.
Oh.
Why y'all think I go outside of this office to go? Because I know that there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. The more I learn, think about this. The more you learn. If you learned something, that means you didn't know it yesterday. So therefore, the more you learn, there's a lot to learn. So that tells you right there, that's a clue. Oh my God, I just learned something. So that means I didn't know it yesterday or last month. It's more where that come from. It's more where that came from. The more you learn, the more you realize a lot of stuff you don't know. And I'm addicted to that. I am addicted to learn. I want more. I want more. You know, y'all eat that one potato chip, y'all gotta eat more. You gotta eat more. You gotta eat more. Eat that one scoop of ice cream, you gotta eat more and more. You know, Doritos pretty good about that. You know, you eat that one Dorito, you got to eat more and more. Lazy potato chips came in with that. But the more information, the more aha moments I have, the more aha moments I want. I'm like, oh my God, what? You could do this, you could do that. Oh my God, this is so good. And every time I find out, I find out how much I didn't know. And I wish I knew this stuff last year or 2 years ago. And every time I learn something, I realize how much I did not know. If you get on that kick, then you know that there is hope, that there is better, there's good, there's better, and there's best. Always will be, always have been. This is how growth and development starts. This you looking at growth and development. You looking at one time, we didn't have automobiles. We had horse and buggies, but look how it's grown. They're trying to get the flying cars right now. Look how it's grown. That means that we continue to learn. At one time, people were dying from polio. Now they got medication. Now, listen, man, it's knowing and growing and seeking and developing.
And each and every one of us. Application, Rob.
But you got to apply it.
You got, like you said, you can want to go someplace, but if you don't go, open the door.
That's right.
Get in the car. Hey, put it in gear. Put your seatbelt on.
That's right.
There are things that you have to do, and many times I think that's where we get stuck. We can hear what you're saying, but we won't make the call. We can hear what you're saying. We won't do any research on our own to say, wait a minute, what am I doing or what am I not doing that's hindering me from becoming more than I am? Oh, Rob, I love the fact that these last 365 days, plus what's the day, the 9th or 10th or whatever it is?
May 9th.
Okay, yeah. So those 365, plus 7, Rob, I have, of all the 50, 7 years that I've been in the media business, I have learned so much that I didn't know that I could add to that I do know, and now, hey, apply it. And oh my goodness, God opens up the windows of heaven and pours out blessings I don't have room enough to hold.
James, so you telling us that you've been in the radio business more than 50 years, but in the last year you learned some stuff.
That I didn't know.
That's my point, James.
But Rob, I had to do what you said. I had to step out. I had to leave from where I was to go where I'd never been, to do what I had never done, to get what I never had.
Oh, but James, you had the courage, man. You had that desire that you wanted it. And God said, you want it? You want this?
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Okay. I'll give it to you. But there's something you got to do.
I had to do it, Rob. and as they said, when he told Abraham, he didn't give Abraham a map to tell him where he was going. He just told him he had to leave from where he was. And I will show you. Yeah. So I pray for those things that God has for me that I cannot ask for, think, or imagine. Because anything I see, I can get. I'll sacrifice. I can work hard. I can do what. No. I want that he has for me that goes beyond what I can ask, think, or imagine. And when he does that, all of a sudden, it's based on your faith.
That's
and
right.
Your ability to leave from where you are to do something you've never done, to get something that he has for you that you have never had.
That's right. And it's, listen, we're talking all aspects of your life. This rule, this law applies. This law that we're talking about. Don't do what's easy. Do what's hard. Because when you do what's hard, it's not going to last a long time. But after you finish, boy, that reward's going to be, you're going to be a changed person. So stop letting people fool you by doing easy stuff. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Rob, time is getting short. That final third thing you were going to discuss today.
Estate planning, wills and trusts. Listen, at the Henderson Finance Group, we've been helping people. We had attorneys that put together living trust documents, and they do it in all 50 states. And we teamed up with them to help people to come up and have affordable living trusts and estate plans. And I'm so happy they're not paying $2,000 and $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000, and some of them $10,000 when you have to go around. Attorneys charge you, but we've aligned ourselves with attorneys that actually do affordable estate planning, living trust. And there's a difference between a will and a trust. See, people are still running around here talking about they need a will, but all wills have to go through an attorney, has to go through the courts, which costs a whole lot of money. But what I've been seeing lately, people been calling me, is Big Mama dying, and just young people dying, and they own property, a house, they own assets, land, and they have nothing. They don't have a will or they don't have a trust, and they have to go through probate. One lady called me because she said her father died, and it's 7 of them, and asked me, do I have a probate attorney? I said, yes, I know 3 of them that I work with, and all 3 of them quoted her more than $20,000 just to take the property through probate. Now, what is probate? When you die and property's in your name, how you gonna come back after you dead and sign the paperwork and direct who you want that house to be transferred to? How you gonna do it? You can't. No one has figured out how, when they die, to come back and sign some documents to transfer assets or property to whoever they want to, their beneficiaries. You have to do that before you die. But then again, who plan on dying? Death. A lot of times, a lot of people woke up dead this morning. They woke up, they're like, oh, where I am. Are you in heaven or you in hell? A lot you don't know, man. A lot of people just all of a sudden just gave up the ghost. So therefore, no one knows the time and the hour, and especially the ones that y'all know Big Mama don't have too long to live. And y'all sitting there because I know it's not a time to think about asset transfer, but you should. And right now, I know that I'm talking to someone out there that have a loved one who is sick, who is terminally ill. I know I'm talking to someone. I don't care if it's one person. Y'all know that y'all have a father, grandfather, something that has property, and y'all know that it ain't gonna be, they ain't got another 20 years to live. Y'all need to call the Henderson Financial Group so I could break it down to him like a 6-year-old and explain to him why he need to do a power of attorney, why he needs or she needs to do a healthcare directive, why do he do a living trust, why do he need to have what they call a ladybird deed before they make that transition. Don't just sit back there and watch. Do something, because it's gonna happen. Because I'm seeing so many people, a lot of people, especially black people, man, black people losing property all over the nation because mama or daddy or grandfather or grandmama owned land in Georgia, Texas, Florida, all over, had a house, and now they're getting ready to pass, and it's 7 of them kids, and the property is not in their name. So when they pass, they got to go get a lawyer. The lawyer gonna see, oh, there's several properties, and the lawyer gonna say, I need $25,000. And ain't none of them got $25,000 to pay no lawyer. And if they did have $25,000 to pay a lawyer to transfer the property, they gonna argue over who gonna get what. So therefore, all probate property has to go through a judge. The judge gonna say what's gonna happen to the property, and then half the time, the property taxes are behind. Who gonna pay that? So that's when somebody from outside the community come in and scoop up that real estate property.
Rob, and that hurts me, Rob.
That's a fact.
Because you wind up being forced to sell. Forced to sell. Yeah, yeah. And it's just awesome. I've been traveling, like I said, for the last year, and I've just seen and heard some things, man, that are just awful. I mean, people who have Rob, and there are people who look like you and I that have owned hundreds of acres of land. And at that end date, as you said, not having, a trust, not designating who will get what. And all of a sudden, and I say we because we lose as a people, you know, we lose the land, we lose the mineral rights that most people don't even think about when they own land. Yeah, based on where you are, where you live, there's something beneath that dirt, So do you have mineral rights to the land or property that you own? Has anything been done to secure legacy or future so that, hey, children, grandchildren, great grands, whatever. Come on, man. Hey, so we wind up and somebody else says, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, people perish. That's what scripture say, from lack of what? Understanding?
Oh,
people lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge.
I mean, if you don't know something, man, I'm telling you, man, you are perishing. The more stuff you don't know, you're going backwards. Isn't that something? And there's a lot of real estate that are being purchased for little or nothing for the taxes because people didn't take care of their final expenses, didn't take care of their final paperwork. Before you leave here, you got a duty. You just can't leave here. Because if you own something, something's going to happen to what you own. Somebody going to get it. And the people who you want to get it might not get it.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that something, Robert? Rob, we know where we live. in the area we live, or have grown up, you know, I I I can say I grew up in South Florida because I spent more time here than any place else. But, I mean, just to stop for a minute, go back to where you, quote unquote, may have lived and look around. And the people that there's a gospel song that says, I stopped by the house that I used to live in just to see. And the neighbors across the street says, nobody's there anymore. Yeah. So all of a sudden, I remember when uh, a I was told the history of Liberty City and Overtown, and it was the only place that people of color had to live. you know, and you could see game shows and people will say, where would you like to visit? What city would you like to visit? And they'd have a list of them. And of course, it always comes up somewhere in there, Miami. Well, uh, you go back and look at the charter when Dade County was being developed, the charter, there are people of color who's on the charter. And guess what? They're not Black Americans. They are
Wow.
Bahamian brothers and sisters.
Wow.
But you think they live on Miami Beach? Yeah.
Wow.
You think they live near the Intercoastal, Fisher Island? You know, and so the awakening is not so much, you know, to the history. The awakening is, what are we going to do to make it better for our family, for our people, man. There are people who care about people, their people, people who look like them, people who struggle like us, the things that have been created in this country. Yeah, history may not teach you and tell you, you know, that it was created or, uh, you know, developed by a person of color, but hey, during the time of slavery, a black man wasn't gonna get a patent. Where was he where a black man was gonna go to get a patent because I made life easier on the plantation, you know, whether it was picking cotton, or or building a motor rather than having a mule, developing a plow that would do better. So all of a sudden, man, I think that when we think about wealth and legacy, we should seek out people like yourself, the
Yeah.
Henderson Financial Group that can help us to be able to help others and to live a better life now. I'm not living to die to go to heaven. I'm
Right.
living to have heaven here on earth, man.
That's right. Right where you are. You doing, hey
Right.
James, you doing all you
Hey,
can do. You learning. Hey,
yes, man.
last week, man, I we didn't have a show because I was in France. It was an invitation only, a financial planning conference. I can't tell y'all how much discovery in my ears and eyes was popping from stuff that I didn't know that I did not even know. I didn't even know I didn't know it. I didn't even know it was on the planet. I didn't know you could do stuff that way. I'm telling you, it's amazing. And at that meeting in France, it was 7 people that looked like me. The rest of them, they're from
Hmm.
all over the world. It's invitation only, and you get invited when they know that you are when you do what you do. You
And
know,
you do it well.
and you got to do it well, otherwise they're not going to invite you. So that's why I'm telling you all to call the Henderson Finance Group so I can show you, tell you things that I've learned and things. I had a guy that called while I was out to bars when I got back, and the guy had Mayday. He had got divorced, and his anyway, he had to take like $400,000 and and he'd take like $400,000 and give it to his ex-wife. Okay. Now, when he did that, he had to sell his stocks and sell his stuff.
Mm.
And that happened like 2 years ago, right? So the IRS just sent him a letter saying that he didn't he that 400 and some thousand, he didn't include that on his tax return. So, and his accountant said, well, he's gonna owe $200,000 in taxes. And he called Robert Henderson. He said, hey, how could this be? So I looked at it. He sent me the stuff, sent me the IRS letter, and I looked at it. And I said, listen, first of all, when you sold your stocks for $400,000, that wasn't $400,000 profit. You had a cost for it. You had just invested it like 6 months earlier. You put the money in there. That wasn't $400,000 when you sold it. That was just the proceeds that you got. But it was a cost for that. So I said, let me look. And I looked and I said, well, you put in $400,000 in the 6 months, it was up for you gained $22,000 because the $400,000 was your money that you gave. So in 6 months, you made $22,000. But when you had to sell all of it, you had to sell all $422,000 the gain and sell a stock because you had to give her the money. Now IRS only sees that he sold $422,000. Therefore, that's what he made, and that's what he got. He got to pay tax on it, which is going to be around $200,000. So the accountant had already said, "This, you out of luck, buddy." And I said, "Some accountants don't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? It's a lot of accountants." So I looked at that and I said, "No, there's a cost basis. There's a cost basis. What if you made that $22,000, but it cost you $400,000? So that was your own money. That was no profit." Mm-hmm. And then I got on a conference call with the accountant, and the accountant says, "Oh, Henderson, you absolutely right. Let me amend. let me amend his return." Isn't that something? Now, my whole point is he could have just settled for what the IRS sent him, and the accountant did, and just been out of luck, $200,000. But what did he do? He called. See, listen. Wisdom is you don't have to know everything, but you need to know somebody who knows something.
Who knows something you don't know.
Who knows something you don't know. And I'm telling you, and we all free. We all free to find somebody. Listen, if somebody try to tell you about radio, I don't know the intricates and all the back about radio, but guess what? I know James T. And
James T is studying and learning and seeking and asking and knocking and talking with people who know things about it that he doesn't know.
I'm telling y'all, man, I'm demonstrating. I'm telling y'all real life stuff. That's why I'm telling you. When I tell you, you don't have to know, but you need to know somebody who knows something. That's why you have to have a relationship, not just somebody 1-800 who's gonna put you on hold. No, you have to have people who know. And why do I know this stuff? How do I know that? Because I'm a certified tax coach. I don't do taxes, but I had to learn taxes because the IRS came at me 15 years ago, told me I owe $1.5 million, and I said, it's never going to happen again. I'm going to learn this whole tax code. I'm going to learn what you can do because I got involved in it. So listen, what I'm saying to you all is, you have to have a relationship. You don't have to know everything, but you have to know people that know something about it. I don't know how to do an oil change, but I know somebody who do. I don't know how to fix the air condition, but I know somebody who do. You follow me? I don't know how to paint a house, but I know somebody who do. That's the whole point, man. Having a relationship. Call 305-825-1444. If you're struggling, if you want to retire, if you need to get understand more about what the difference between a will and a trust and how much it costs, call 305-825-1444. If you're getting ready to turn on your Social Security, should you wait, or is there a better way to do it? Call Henderson at 305-825-1444. And the last thing before I go, last time I spoke, we was on the show, I talked to you about this insurance company that you can reserve up until June 21st. You can put your registration in now that will match your investment 52%. Some companies, where y'all put money in 401ks, they match it 5% or 10% or whatever. This company says, it's an insurance company. They say they'll match it 52%. So if you put in $100,000, they'll give you $52,000 on top of the $100,000 for retirement, for planning. So then they'll turn around and give you income, okay? You got to call me. you got to call me. I know some of y'all have money that y'all want to put away for wealth. Y'all don't plan on spending it. So you might as well get 52% bonus and get earnings per year tax free. In other words, what I mean by you don't pay taxes until you take it out. But while it's in there, you don't have to put it on your tax return because it's growing and it's guaranteed growth. You can't lose a penny. Minimum is $20,000, but you don't have to. When you call the Henderson Financial Group to make a registration, they give you 6 months to put the money in. Minimum $20,000. So a lot of y'all getting ready to retire in 6 months. You want to call me and say, Robert, I want to put some of my money over there so I can get a max of 52%. I need y'all to go out and tell the world that, tell your friends, tell people that there's a better way, things that they did not know. So call 305-825-1444 and ask me about the things that we discovered, that we covered today. One was recap. We talked about final expense. Okay, you can't be no more than 85 years old, and I can get you an insurance policy that you don't have to do blood and urine. You can be sick, you can be ill, you can have high blood pressure, you can have gout, you can have all kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But just knowing that you're gonna live for at least a year or 2 years, all right? And some people don't know, but you know, you just got to call and the minimum is $25,000 in terms of insurance on, but that's going to cost $25,000. And I'll do a plan for you for final expense for your loved ones, your uncle, your cousin, your uncle, your sister, your brother, whatever. You need to be covered because you don't want to have to do a GoFundMe. All right. So that's what we talked about, final expense. And we also talked about getting out of debt. I got a plan where the more you save, the more your debt comes out faster. Okay. And then I'm not asking you to save what you don't already have. I'm going to show you how to work with what you already have, how to do it a better way, how to manage your money a better way. And most of y'all need that management coaching. And I will do that. I promise you. It's how to get out of debt with what you have. Say, Robert, I've tried. I seem like I'm at the end of my wits. I don't know how to do this. Okay, I got student loans. I got credit cards. Just give it to me and I'm going to show you. I'm going to do a plan. You don't have to have no extra money. I'm going to show you how you are wasting money and spending money unknowingly and unnecessarily. And I'm going to show you how to do what you're doing better. And I'm going to take that money that I find for you, that what you already have, and use that to help you get out of debt. Okay. And the third one is, please give me a call so you can understand more. I can teach you more about either a Ladybird deed or living trust, how it works, and is it a good fit for you or your family? All right. So number to call is 305-825-1444. James, the church, we need prayer, brother.
Also, we see where Angel had a question, but I know we're out of time. So next week, Rob, could you put some discussion about crypto
Okay.
in the plan for next week? All right.
Got it.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that you've given us to come together once again. And my prayer comes from our family prayer, my brother John Davis, who I lift up in prayer and thank God for all that he's doing for Brother John. He says, join us in praying, Lord. Thank you for hearing our prayers from the moment we set our hearts to seek you. And of course, when answers feel delayed, remind us that you are already at work. Help us to walk in humility, trust your timing, and remain faithful in prayer. Strengthen our hearts with peace, courage, and confidence that our cries are heard and valued by you. Oh, man, we take that from, of course, the scripture that is Daniel 10:12 that says, then he said, don't be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day you begin to pray for understanding and to humble yourself before God, your request has been heard in heaven, and I have come in to answer your prayer. The answer to your prayer today could be seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness and reach out for the Henderson Financial Group. We pray that you will have a blessed day and that you will be a blessing to someone else in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Okay. Hey, Norbert, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Miss Redhead, Mr. Redhead, have a great weekend. Joseph Caravan, have a wonderful weekend. Parnell, Annie Edwards, and everybody else who is listening and watching. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe, Denise Ward. Be safe out there, okay? And give me a call, because I tell you, everybody needs to get out of debt. 305-825-1444. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and be safe. Much love. Peace.